Peace and love, brother Shalom. I'm going to read the divine warning from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali to start the meeting off, set the tone to start the meeting off. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirable and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to names and principles that allude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's constitution and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a free national government, and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution for the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their national and divine standard, because day by day, they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If the Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and is asked for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principle, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they placed their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word color alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and Southern Union, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with a constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be equal and free, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So, there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by my citizens or by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come. Because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people. And this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on the earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerners for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South there. I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there. And it is the work of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light from the prophet, Islam. So I want to say peace and love to everybody. There's a couple of people as I was reading that entered. So let me make sure I greeted everybody. Brother Jonathan Brown, peace and love. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Uh, Brother Shalom, peace
Peace
and
and love, brother.
Peace and love.
okay. I greet everybody. Oh, Brother Benjamin Bay, peace and love, man. Hope all is well, man.
Peace and love, Morris. Peace and love, more. How you doing? All is well.
Um, all is well, brother. That hit different today, man. I was feeling real passionate out as I was reading this Divine Woman today, man. It was hitting me different.
Theatrical.
Yeah, like the principles is just popping out, man.
I'm kind of traveling today, brother. So my connection might be a little shaky because it's rainy out here right now.
Okay. Now, brother Jonathan Brown, you're the brother that I just talked with earlier, right? You bought the book at Shades.
Yeah. At Shades Africa. Yep. I got it right here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
That's fire. That's fire right there. And this is
That's
why this is divine and national movement. Divine and national movement because everything you can't see, like the Hermetic principles, laws of correspondence, and you just hit me 2 minutes before the meeting talking about where the meetings.
yeah. Right.
Can't make this up. Can't make this up. All right. But yeah, we'll be in dialogue. We're gonna
Synchronicity. Yeah, definitely.
synchronicity, correspondence. It's all in play.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always say this is the best time of my life.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we'll Sunday we'll go over concepts, just take notes, every session. You got my number, so we'll be in contact, going through the process, declaring, and any miscellaneous questions, we're gonna make sure your mind is right, operating as a body,
Right.
and you out here in Cali too, so
Yeah.
it's even better. Aaliyah Bay, look like she's still trying to connect. Aaliyah Bay, peace and love, peace and love. So as you can see, what we just read in the divine warning, you have a lot of law. Go to those that know law. You have the importance of why you need to know your nationality and culture. The importance of doing the opposite of what he said is being disgraceful, which would be the activity of not working together, the activity of not showing that you have culture, the activity of having no love, no truth, no peace. So therefore, it's no justice, right? That's what stood out to me as I read that today. So I'm going to go into basic constitutional fundamentals. Dealing with jurisdiction. You need to know the basics of the Constitution. There were quotes of Noble Drew Ali saying, enforce the Constitution. The reason us as Moors do that is because it's a gateway, specifically Article 3 and Article 6 of the Constitution, which is taking you to an international jurisdiction dealing with treaties that our people had with the United States. But also, there's other things in there because we have to remember that this is the checks and balances, the rule book for the new body politic that got created called the United States to be here. It's the Constitution for the United States of America. It's instructions for them. So that's just the context. All right, so common law is the tradition that a single body of law represents valid judicial interpretations of customary rules of action. It preserved and promulgated principles of law based on judicial decisions rather on rules resulting from legislative enactments. The common law is generally described as those principles, usages, and rules of action applicable to the government and security of persons and property, which do not rest for their authority upon any express or positive declaration of the will of the legislator. There are three branches of government as it related to the Europeans doing business here in Morocco, North America, styled as the United States. One, the executive branch, whose duty is to enforce law. Two, legislative branch, whose duty it is to create or write law. Three, the judicial branch. So whoever doesn't know that, that's important to know that. The three branches of government. The Constitution for the United States is derived from Muslim law. A statement like that, that's made like that, well, of course, we know Barack Obama made that statement, but when we're like, once again, we're trying to get tight. So when we interface in the public with our people, we're competent on how to communicate certain factual things. So we would say that statement, or Obama said that statement, and then we would show evidence of, oh, Article 11 of the treaty between the Kingdom of Tripoli and the United States. The Kingdom of Tripoli, that's a Moroccan state. So that's still a treaty between our people and the United States. The government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on Christian religion. So that was stated in an international document between the Moors and the United States. That'll be facts you can display to establish why you're saying United States of America is not a Christian in origin. Then, of course, Barack Obama talks about how Islam is part of America. The common law is essentially formed by a judge's ruling or decision of a case, that as long as it is in harmony with nature's law and not contrary to the Constitution, stands as law. So back to the penal code, statute, ordinances, there are some that are in harmony, some that are not. So the ones that are not, they are what we call color of law. In Moorish, Muslim custom, it can be explained as fatwa. A fatwa is an authoritative legal opinion or learned interpretation that the sheikh or a qualified jurist or mufti can give on issues pertaining to law. The law of peace, also known as Islamic law. The person who issues a fatwa is called a mufti. An issuer of fatwa from the verb, meaning he have a formal legal opinion on. If a fatwa does not break new ground, then it is simply called a ruling, which in turn becomes part of the common law that applies and protects the common people, i.e., all the free national inhabitants of the land. Any questions before I continue? Any statements before I continue?
Nah.
Okay. Common law in England represents the oldest corpus of jurisprudence, administered by a central court and made applicable to an entire country. Indeed, one of the fundamental doctrines of constitutionalism in the United States is adherence to the tradition of stare decisis. Stare decisis in res judicata, common law constitutional principles. Let's break the word up. Stare, to look fixedly at. Decisis, something decided. Stare decisis. The Constitution is something that was decided by the people. So it is an example of stare decisis within itself. Now let's look at res judicata. Res being a thing plus judicata already adjudicated on or already decided. Therefore, you have res judicata. Res judicata is or equivalent or relevant cases and issues already decided upon by a congressionally sanctioned Article 3 judge, granted the powers to adjudicate, as distinguished from administrative magistrates, being decisions, court cases that help mold and form the common law. With the enforcement of what can commonly be called international law or the laws of nature, the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights clearly supports the aforementioned case law reference in regards to licensing. The Declaration also supports the following case law stare decisis, res judicata, and common law constitutional Republican law principles. An example of res judicata, for quote, every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institution formed by his fellow man without his consent. Cruden versus Neal, 1796 case will be an example. So that's pretty straightforward, but for those that may not know the principles of that case law, every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. So that's rooted in contract law, because if there's no consent, now you have to get down to the bottom of, if I didn't agree to this, how am I bounded to it? Where's the contract? And that's back to like we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. Contract law 101, contract for dummies. These fundamentals are things that all members of the body politic should know, because we are jurists. We are deemed to know law as it pertains to our nationality and the land under our feet. Of course, the first level would, you come across the information, you declare nationality. That's the first wave, and that's a beautiful, beautiful wave. Beautiful wave, because everybody doesn't, come to that awareness. But after that, you start organizing amongst other people that got that epiphany, and you start organizing, centralizing finances, getting sharp in law and history so you can spread it to the general public and galvanize and centralize them. So now we're getting bigger economically, body count wise, intellectually, and the sky's the limit. Now we start looking for land, we start, banning properties that we can fix up, because now we internally, we got the funds, everybody pays taxes to their nation, dues, etc. Now we can claim something, fix it up, make it look operational. And who did that? A Moorish body politic that qualifies to invoke the rights of indigenous people. So once you start putting property and stuff like that, or it's under the jurisdiction of Aboriginal indigenous community, there's certain international ramifications now. With the enforcement of what can commonly be called international law or the laws of nature, I just read that. So I think I'm down here at 1-6. No, I think I'm at this case law right here after Cruden versus Neal. Common law was nothing else but custom, arising from the universal agreement of the whole community. In that common law, judges were the depositories of the law, the living oracles who must decide according to the precedent of the law of the land. So they must decide on things that were already ruled upon, or look at the measuring stick of what they are to know law, which would be the Constitution. They take an oath to uphold that. And in the Constitution, specifically Article 4, Section 1, gives full faith and credit to any case, laws, public acts, judicial proceedings of any state. So case law is essentially binding law. The Federal Constitution of the United States was completed by the Constitutional Convention on September 17th, 1787. It was ratified by the Resquith Night State, New Hampshire. Okay, that says June 21st, 1788. And put into effect on March 4th, 1789. The document consists of a preamble of purpose, a body of articles, and a series of amendments. The body of articles regulates the following subjects: the legislative branch, the executive branch, the judicial branch, the relations of the states to each other and to the central government, the admission of new states, the regulation of territories, the method of amending the Constitution, provisions for the national debt, the oath required of all states and federal officials to support the federal Constitution, laws and treaties being the supreme law of the land, and the prohibition of religious tests for office holders, and provisions for ratification of the Constitution. So if things aren't ratified, that's another reason, a signifier that is not de jure. The Federal Constitution, 1787 through 1789, is really the second Constitution of the United States. The first was the Articles of Confederation, drafted in 1777 and ratified in 1781. Because the Articles deprived the central government of having real power over the individual states, a host of problems arose concerning domestic and foreign commerce, and foreign debt, and internal or external security. Now I want to stop. I'm going to read one more. I'm going to read this last paragraph. The Federal Constitution of the United States is the oldest documentary constitution in force in the modern world. Aside from its other merits, i.e., the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco and the various Europeans doing business here, styled as the United States of 1786, the Constitution longevity has won widespread respect for its frequent imitation of it on the part of other nations. Now, I want to stop right here and highlight something on why this will be the measuring stick for, speaking of the Constitution, why this is the measuring stick and why it's good for us as a body politic to know it. And once we know it, we know that it's a measuring stick for them. So we know it's three branches: legislative, executive, and judicial, right? So, for example, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, just to give you an example. Now, can someone in the chat Google what branch of government is Congress?
Shit, I ain't Google it, but I'm gonna say, cause my phone messing up. I'm gonna say the legislative.
No, we want to know, but we want to know the exact. We
Okay,
want
all
some-
right. I'm gonna
we
sit back.
want-
All right,
no, we want somebody to look it up.
all right, bet.
It's imperative. Can anybody else look up what branch of government is Congress?
It is the legislative branch, brother.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And great work. I just don't want you to spoil it. You know what I mean? All
My
right.
bad, my bad. All right.
Okay. So now, can somebody look up what branch of government is the IRS?
The Bureau Department of Treasury.
Okay. Now, can somebody look up what branch of government is the Treasury? What branch of government is the Treasury? The Treasury Department or the Bureau of Treasury?
It says executive agency. What does that necessarily mean? Is that part of the executive branch or is that a different link?
It's the executive branch. That's what they're expressing. They're expressing that the IRS is in the bottom line in the executive branch because the IRS is in the Bureau of the Treasury. The Bureau of the Treasury is in the executive branch. So, why is that important to know? Because it said Article 1, Section 8 of the measuring stick, Congress, which is the legislative branch, shall have power to lay and collect taxes. IRS is in the executive branch. When we're dealing with taxation, we're dealing with the legislative branch. So you see, if you're a jurist and you know law, oh, that's an easy spot on why you're exempt, right? That's what I'm getting at. So once you know these things, you're not um you're less worried about certain things because you're more competent on certain things.
So what you're saying is being that the IRS is under the executive branch of government and we're dealing with the legislative branch of government, they will have no power to tax you legally because they are not part of the legislative, they're part of the executive. Is that what you're getting at?
Right. That's what the Constitution is getting at by saying Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes. Congress is in the legislative branch. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we know that only the legislative branch can tax, not the executive, right?
That's a very powerful tool to have because they wrote it, we didn't. So at the end of the day, they got to follow their laws and their rules. So if someone come to them competent and calmly say that, they backed into the corner.
Right. So that's why we're here. Just the whole point of the Sunday lessons is to get sharp on concepts and get competent. Where when we have issues later or when we're, and like I say, we want to deal with the common people too. We want to grow as an organization, so we want to be competent as well. But you might come into a situation where you need to know how to defend yourself, so to speak. But once again, you want to be part of a body and you come in as a body, even in those situations. All right. So any questions on that? Statements? But Brother Rocky, peace and love too. I see you come in there. Any questions, statements, thoughts?
Islam. I'm gonna throw out a hypothetical question.
Islam.
Okay, let's say a Moor has you know, it's contract with the Social Security card, and Social Security Administration, and they're being taxed off of the government name that was issued to them on their birth certificate, but they no longer use that uh, uh, name anymore, but they continuously send documentation stating that, you know, you still in the you still contract with them, even though your name is not the same. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's say,
Well,
you got a government name. Your government name is Roger Smith. Now all of a sudden you had a legal change, and now it's Muhammad Abdullah. But you're not contract with Muhammad Abdullah with your social security number. So how do that play in effect to any government taxation forms of notice? Now yield the floor.
yeah, Islam. So it's two ways. If you're saying you Muhammad Abdullah, then the person that they're sending correspondence to is not you. That's one. Two, if you are um like intertwined with the system as you come across this information, which most of our people are, that's the point of like the presentation or the demonstration I said earlier. You will have to draft the affidavit, and the importance of why things are in the affidavit form because it's saying this is your truth. You swear that this is the truth, the whole truth on paper. A couple witnesses on there, and you're sending that certified copy to a human being, I think it's not a CEO, but the head of the IRS. I forgot his title, but on these principles, you know, like any correspondence you get, it's gonna have like a number on top. I think at the top right corner, and it's gonna you respond in response to that number. This is my position, and you can highlight the fact that is the IRS Congress, like you know what I mean. It's you know what I mean. You want to get that on the record because that's an exhibit for court later. You know what I mean? Um, so it's all about how how you respond. But I always tell people it's better to be like an entrepreneur and go full fledged this direction. Then none of that stuff really applies. But for people that are in the gray area, when they come across this information, it's other it's other means that you can do. Like some people do like there's other types of W-4s and where they won't tax you. And it's just up to you to deal with the IRS, like your job. You could just tell HR, look, don't tax me. I don't want no federal and state coming out of my check. I'll deal with the IRS. And then you just send an affidavit, like progressively before you even get a notice from them. Like, look, this up, this is my position with my employer. Based on these principles, I'm not paying taxes. This is why.
Hey,
So
brother Mafia, I got a question. So like you were saying, a lot of us are dealing with the gray area, like myself. I work with the shipyards, and it's under my old name. You know what I'm saying? So wouldn't it be best for me to leave my old name as it is and try to move with my national, like with everything else henceforth, and just leave Sharon Coleman alone? Like, don't do nothing with my social security number, do everything with my national card. But then they operate off of social security numbers. So if you present them their national, what type of number or Moorish number or document that you need to go with that so they can be like, oh, okay, bet. Like you got to break this down a little more for me because I'm like in a stuck spot. Because my way of living is working at the shipyard. That's how I feed my family. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as starting a business with my national, that's fine, but I gotta have some type of revenue. I gotta have some type of money coming in. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the bills don't stop. You know what I'm saying? So like I want to leave my old business alone, but it's like I'm trying to navigate through how to do it and not be pressed you know what I'm saying, by the government. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, the brother put in the chat an excellent book, Marvy Bay Publications, how to basically like the how I said, there's different types of W-4s that you can contract with your employer with. And it's still, you know, it'll be the straw, but no taxes will be coming out. And for example, it's like a W-4V, it's a W-4T. And matter of fact, you know what? Let's go over that right now.
Yeah, because like can like say I want to if I don't have a business and I want to get a job, can I get in my national and be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm Hassan Amari Bey. They gonna want other type of documentation in order to be an employee, correct?
Right. And there's other documentation that's from the
Okay, but
IRS. There's other IRS documents. That's what I'm saying, called the W-4T. And on top of the W-4T, it's gonna have a law from the Code of Federal Regulations stating that taxation is voluntary, right? So you're choosing not to participate in the what's the exact lingo? The withholding program. You don't want to participate in the withholding program.
okay.
Right. But I want to bring it up so everybody can look at the exact law, or at least look it up for themselves so they can look at it before I move forward. Let me see. Okay. So it's Title 26 Code of Federal Regulations, section, matter of fact, let me just put it up here. I'm gonna type it on in.
Because I remember the Empress a couple weeks back was saying that she got her car in her national. How did she do that?
Her car.
Yeah, she got like the registration to her car was in her national name. How did she do that?
Okay, hold on. We'll get to that. Let me just. That's next. I just want to get this out of explain this to you
I got you.
as far as the W-4T. Let me take the
Okay.
chat right here. I see it's 3 people in the chat. Okay, yeah. Also look at the chat too. The brother put in excellent books that you all can get.
I am not trying to send that to someone personally. I'm trying to figure out how to make everybody see it. So when I'm sending it, my bad. If say to DeSoto, I'm not just trying to send it personally. Not to cut your wisdom, brother.
Okay, no, it's all good.
And to DO Esteros. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I think can everybody see it? Yeah.
It looks like it's going back.
But just trying to find some pages that kind of would slightly answer some questions. Like, I yield.
So this is what I was referring to. So this is Title 26, and on top of the W-4T, which the T stands for terminate, that form is rooted in this law, in the Title 26 of the Code of Federal Regulations, 31.3402 subsection P1, dealing with voluntary withholding agreements. This is also in the IRC manual, Internal Revenue Code. The same language and same subsection, the 31.3402 P1, just put IRC in front of it. It's going to be the same thing we read here. It's crazy too. So Code of Federal Regulations, Internal Revenue Code manual, same lingo. All right, so let's read. Employer-employee agreement, right? You're entering into an agreement with your employer. An employee and his employer may, that means you may enter into an agreement under this section, provided for withholding And withholding is, like I say, you're telling them you want how much taken out your check. That's you're saying withhold this amount out of my check. That's what withholding means. So in traditional W-4, that document is telling them to take taxes out your check. You're telling them take taxes out of my check. They're gonna ask you how much based on dependence and all that type of stuff. But anyway, all right. So for withholding of income tax upon payments of amounts described, etc., an agreement may be entered into upon this section only with respect to the amounts, etc. I'm going to wait. I'm not trying to read all this fluff stuff. I'm trying to get straight to the point. Okay, here we go. Okay, an employee who desires to enter into an agreement shall furnish his employer with a W-4. Now, the W-4 is called a withholding exemption certificate. All right. Executed in accordance with this section. The furnishing of such W-4 shall constitute request for withholding. So a regular W-4, you're telling your employer to take money out your check. A lot of our people don't know that because they just, they think that's just how it has to be when I get a new job. W-4 is what I got. Our people ain't really investigating and reading. So in the case of an employee who desires to enter into an agreement with his employer, if the employee performs services, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Now, if the employee wishes to specify the agreement terminate on a specific date, but that's my point. That's the W-4T part. That W-4T has this law on the top of the IRS document. Why? Because this is the element was rooted in the W-4T. You're terminating them, so you don't want taxes taken out your check no more. You're deciding, I don't want to participate in the voluntary withholding program. If that's your decision, you shall furnish the employer, or if the employee wishes to specify the agreement terminate on a specific date, the employee shall furnish the employer with a request for withholding, which shall be signed by the employee and shall contain, all the basics, your name, yada yada.
So wait, so what you're saying, in lightest terms, is that as far as if I wanted to stop paying taxes or having any taxes taken out, right? I could do the WT, write down the WT form. My employer has to stop taking money out of my checks, period. Now, if the IRS comes knocking on my door, which I mean, obviously, I'm minute compared to other people, but just say, hypothetically speaking, the IRS came and knocked on my door because I stopped paying taxes. I could resort to Article 26 and be like, yo, you guys can't tax me. By the constitutional rights, you can't tax me, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Pursuant, and you would say it, nothing personal. You say pursuant to Title 26 Code Federal Regulations, Section 31.3402, subsection P1. Also in the Internal Revenue Code, because remember, y'all need to see for yourself that too. Because once you realize that it's the Internal Revenue Code, you're gonna see that's the manual for the IRS. All you're gonna be talking to is clerks. They following manuals. These people ain't special. Once you know their manuals, you telling them pursuant to, you know what I'm saying? So keep these things in mind. Also, we just looked at is the Internal Revenue Service Congress or in the legislative branch. That's why I went over that as a prerequisite. Because all these things you're going to put in an affidavit and get certified copies. Tracking certified tracking numbers, return receipt numbers. Because these things, when you have it like that, it becomes an exhibit in court. Let me check the chat.
Yeah, but then when you think about it like that, okay, so as far as that, right? You don't want that's getting out of paying taxes, so to speak. Even though I mean, whatever taxes goes towards education, our military, blah blah blah. We don't really know because the government touching the money. We don't ever get to see it. So all said and done, like I'm just trying to like wrap my head around. This is a lot of information coming on at once, so I'm kind of like, this is a trip. But all right. So I have to remember how I was gonna word that. Go ahead and keep going. Let me remember how I was gonna word
Don't worry, brother. My first day, I was the same way you was. Trust me. I was like, holy shit, this is a lot. But you'll get it.
I mean, because I honestly want to go to school to be a lawyer, and like I'm starting school soon, so I'm just like,
You already in school, brother.
and that's what's going on right now. And I'm just sitting here like, man, this is crazy.
Cause you know, you going to school to be a lawyer, you got to pay an oath to the bar, and the bar is not for the people, the bar is for them. So you're gonna learn the deep stuff you need to learn so you can be there for your people when you do pursue that career. Can you dig it?
that part, that part, and that's why I'm like, this is interesting in all different directions. Man,
Now, what does that? All right, what does everybody see as far as the screen? You say Title 18, Code 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
code A obligation.
US,
yeah.
yeah. Obligation or other security of the United States defined. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so now let's look at it in another lens, since we already got two ways of why you're not obligated. So this is Title 18, United States Codes, Section 8, dealing with obligation or other securities of the United States. The term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes. What are Federal Reserve notes? That's the green stuff in your pocket, right? That most people pass off as saying it's money, right? So,
Promise to pay is what it is.
right. So Federal Reserve notes are an obligation of the United States. So let me rewind this a little bit before I full fledged make my point for the brother. Okay.
But then I'm wrapping my mind around the social security aspect of things and like changing the name because like that's another thing. Like even with the IRS and dealing with that, and if you were to like do the WT, switch everything around where you're not paying taxes. No matter what, the IRS tries to gain that money somewhere down the line, whether it's like through your Social Security, through if you work at a different employer, they're going to start garnishing wages or whatever the case would be. Whether you actually see it, but like, you know what I mean? Like that's another thing. Like, how do you stop them from being able to tap into that shit? Where you're like,
For
yo,
real. But I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you. I just want to just explain some things to you. So we're still in the United States codes. So the United States is a federal corporation, right? You see that on the screen?
yeah,
All right. So this is still the United States codes. So we just read another document in the United States Code saying Federal Reserve notes are the obligation of the United States. Are you on the board of the United States? Are you a federal employee of the United States?
no.
So before I go on to that, I want to show you one more thing before I tie this whole thing in. So now we're gonna go to obligations of the United States and how they should not be taxed. Okay, exemption. Okay, we're still in the United States codes. 31 USC, section 3124, exemption from taxation. Stocks and what? Obligations of the United States are exempt from taxation. What are one of those obligations that we learned? Federal Reserve notes. So what are we saying here? Federal Reserve notes are exempt from taxation. I just showed everybody today three different ways on how you can competently say, I don't need to be taxed. Any questions, statements, comments? So if the United States is a corporation, a federal corporation, just like Walmart, Federal Reserve notes get printed from that corporation. And even in their codes, it says those Federal Reserve notes are the obligations of the United States. And those obligations of the United States, which are Federal Reserve notes, shall not be taxed. What are they asking you for? What's the IRS asking you for? They're asking you for Federal Reserve notes, right? That had nothing to do with me. That should not be taxed. We just covered 3 slides. But still, is there any questions, any statements, comments?
Since the United States created the federal note, they're responsible for it. And by them taxing us, they're putting that responsibility on us. So it's like, I yield.
Voluntarily.
Yeah.
People doing it they voluntarily doing this. I mean, they blindly voluntarily doing it, but they're still voluntarily doing it. Because you're gonna perish for a lack of knowledge, but it's still voluntary. But brother, I forgot the brother name. It's been a long week, man. Alan, right?
Anthony or
Brother Anthony. How you
yeah.
feeling? You in a better space? Or now I wanted to get that off. Now, you were saying something? I think you and Brother Shalom were saying something. I didn't mean to cut y'all wisdom off. I just wanted to just get that demonstration off and just kind of see where y'all at.
No, this is kind of like opening my eyes to like law in general. Cause like, I mean, like I said, I haven't even started my program to like start going to school for law, but like some of this stuff is like, this is a trip. And like, even the thought process of like, how do people even become wealthy or rich in aspects? You know what I mean? Well, like, this is a good way. Like, cut people from taking the money that you're earning. You know, but even then, like, it's just like,
And brother, I will testify that you're not going to learn in law school what you learned here.
nah, because they only teach you so much. And that's just in general. That's why
They teach you to be their driving force, sir, not ours.
exactly. And they also like school doesn't teach you other things outside of like the knowledge of like history, etc. Like they don't teach you how to manage money. They don't teach you about WTs, W4s, and how to, withdraw
Nope.
taxes. None of
Nope.
that.
I learned all that from Brother Mafia, the big homie. I ain't learned that from Miss Brown or Mr. Stevens in the classroom. No, I learned it right here.
That part. So that add on to this is just gonna make it that much greater going into school. You know what I mean, and being like that much more aware. I'm actually kind of glad I tuned in. I'm just like, I ain't even gonna lie. I was laying on my bed and I was just like, I don't feel like doing anything. I have work in like a couple of hours, but I was like, nah, I said I was gonna tune in, so let me tune in.
That's beautiful, man. I'm glad you seeing some fruit. Brother Shalom, did you have something that you wanted to add on? I know you were saying something earlier.
Oh nah, brother. I was asking you about, remember when the Empress was like she had her her car registration and her national. I was asking you stuff about that. Like if I go in the DMV and hand them my national card, they're gonna look at me like, what the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? So like, how do I maneuver to get my car registered in my national out of my slave name?
Um, I I'll get with you after the session today.
All
On that.
right, but call my phone directly. That Instagram joint, it don't work. I have to go on Instagram and I'll be like, oh snap, he tried to video me or whatever. Call my phone directly.
Okay, can you send me a text? Because like throughout the week, I was actually looking for you. Cause I was gonna call you and I couldn't find your number.
I got you, fam.
Yeah, just shoot me a text so I can have you, and then I'll in front of my text and stuff. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Okay. Anybody else too who's interested in that, hit me directly if you're trying to operate like that. And my conveyance, I got it where it's under the temple. So when the police pull it over, when they run the VIN, it's showing that it's part of Khalifa Society, which is a body politic of Moors. And like the brother that just got the book, or whoever read Moors Tactical, when I put in there the Department of State Consular Notification and Access Manual, that's why it's important. That book's designed for Moors that are, that are body politic. They're part of a body. It's not really designed for people just by themselves. Because when you're interfacing with foreigners, that's the whole position of invoking that manual. You're saying I'm part of a body, which in their system is called a consulate or embassy. And our competent jurists of our body politic, our sheiks, and any competent Moor that's part of the body is looked at in their eyes as consular officers, right? And we have the right, you know, to have treaty invocation, because in that manual it talks about any foreign nationals, which are non-U.S. citizens, in our case Moors, that may have treaties with us. That's the supreme law of the land. So that's an example of how that United States issued document is in harmony with Article 6 of the Constitution. So we can utilize that, you know. So why'd I bring that up? I forgot even why I brought it up. I know I brought it up for a reason. But anywho, I have Article 3 queued up right here, which is another section of the Constitution that's dealing with foreign relation. So Article 3, Section 2, remember, when we're talking about consuls, oh, that's why I brought it up, back to that manual, consular notification and access manual. Consul, look at it as a jurist, an ambassador of a body politic, a nation state. Consular officer, that's the lingo in their codified system, but it's all rooted, right? So any cases dealing with an ambassador, public minister, consul, to the cases of amity, maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and a citizen of another state. Most of us should know what a state is in here. I would imagine Jonathan. Oh yeah, Jonathan and a brother. I'm gonna go over what a state is after I read this.
Okay.
Controversies between two or more states, between a state and a citizen of another state, between citizens in different states, between citizens of the same state claiming land under grant or different states, and between a state or the citizen thereof and foreign states, citizens of subjects, in all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers, consuls, and those which the state shall be a party. The Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. So any case where it's a U.S. citizen and a non-U.S. citizen, the Supreme Court or a federal jurisdiction will be the proper venue to hear out the dispute, not the state court, not the municipal court. Okay, so what was I supposed to look up? State. All right, so let me go to, I think I had the Black's Law Dictionary queued up. Oh, I did. So before I go to state, I'm gonna go into nationality. You know, the basics is something that needs to, stick and hit home. And we got new people on here. So nationality, why are we talking about, before we even get into all this law, I know there's a couple new brothers on here, the importance of getting out of the status of Black, Negro, colored, Hispanic, Latino, Puerto Rican, Indian, Native American, because those are political statuses of what they call minority, which signifies a people that have the capacity of a minor, the root word. Nationality, that quality or character which arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. Now, I asked y'all, a couple, if everybody knew what a state was. Now, like I say, I would imagine the two brothers that's on right now don't know what a state is. So nationality signifies belonging to a nation or state. And I'm still going to read the definition of state, so keep that in mind. Nationality determines the political status of the individual, especially with reference to allegiance. So if you have allegiance to your people, that determines your political status, or one of the signifying factors. While domicile determines civil status, nationality arises either by birth or naturalization. According now, back to having a structure when it's a bunch of people with the same nationality organized. As a matter of fact, let me just go to state. You're getting there. Brother Abdullah, peace of love, Islam.
Hello, brother. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Trying to work this digital Black's Law Dictionary. You're getting
Islam,
there.
All
bro.
right. Islam. See, we got DuPont in the house.
Brother DuPont, yeah, yeah.
Peace, everyone.
Peace, brother. Peace. Long. Peace and love, brother.
Peace and love, brother. How you doing?
Peace and love.
Peace and love, Jonathan.
Peace
And
and
we got
love, bro.
Trey. We got Shalon, Ricky.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace
And
and love.
Maji, Il.
Love. Azamaji. L.
Maji, Sister Maji.
All right, so brother, what's the brother name? Brother Jonathan Brown and Brother Anthony. So we went through definition of nationality. Some of the highlights determine your political status. Some of the highlights, it determines your allegiance. It signifies that you have allegiance. And one of the signifiers that you belong to a nation or a state. So now we're going to look up a state, what state is. And keep in mind, it's a law definition. And for the other brother too, Alan, that this is not Webster's. We're reading law definitions. State, a people permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law. What was he going over before we even got into this? We went over the Constitution, Bill of Rights, case law, why that matters, why res judicata and stare decisis matters, and all that was under the umbrella of common law. And we also know how we are involved with that common law based on Article 6, we learned through the treaties of the supreme law of the land. So in this case, bound together by treaty. Look at it like that. Bound together by international law. Habits and customs. Once we say we all Moors, we all studious, know the history of our illustrious culture. We share that commonality. We share that common bounds of having the same habits and customs. And we conform ones in present time. The body politic, we can say every solstice and equinox, we gonna do something. Whatever that case may be. Every Sunday, we gonna be here. Getting sharper, right? These are habits and customs of a nation state. And then they form into a body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty and control over things and persons, and capable of making war and peace and entering into international relations with other communities of the globe. So that's what a state is. It's not an invisible border. It's not 50 miles to California just because a sign said so. It's a group of people. And you have a nation state, you got a corporate state. I read some of the corporate state stuff earlier, or we've been going through, like, IRC codes, Code of Federal Regulations as it pertains to taxes and stuff like that. But then you got the nation state. Any questions on that? Anybody? Comments, statements? All right. So back to Article 3, Section 2, now that we know, especially the new brothers that came on, any disputes that are affecting consuls, citizens of another state, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. Any disputes? Non-U.S. citizen? U.S. citizen? Oh, federal jurisdiction. Not the state court, not the municipality. We read about the res judicata stare decisis earlier, is rooted in Article 4. Article 4, Section 1, dealing with full faith and credit. Like I said earlier, public acts, records, judicial proceedings. Judicial proceedings is case law. Things already decided. Full faith and credit on that. Any public acts, such as our House resolutions, over several states talking about Aboriginal indigenous to the land as Moors, all that has precedent. Full faith and credit. Any questions on that? Comments, statements?
All clear.
Article 6, also known as Supremacy Clause. This is where it states treaties are the supreme law of the land. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. That language is codified in the Department of State Consular Notification and Access Manual on dealing with non-U.S. citizens that are part of a body. Also, the highlighting factor of Article 6 is that all law personnel are to take an oath to this document, the United States, the Constitution for the United States. They all take an oath to uphold it. So if they're upholding that, that means they're upholding international law via Article 6 and 3, Article 3 and Article 6. So these are the Bill of Rights. Most people might have heard them as the amendments, but it's the 10 Bill of Rights. So once again, anything that's more than 10 wouldn't be de jure. So another reason the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional, because it's after 10. We already established that it wasn't ratified. So now we know 2 reasons why the 14th Amendment. That's why in the Divine Warning, Prophet Noble Ali constantly states, I think he stated 2 or 3 times, that there's no need for the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people. Whoever doesn't know what the 14th Amendment is dealing with naturalization, granting you U.S. citizenship. Any questions, thoughts? Second Amendment, I wanted to highlight something as far as back to the state thing, a free state. Now we comprehend what a free state is. Why would one be bearing arms if it's not for the security of a free state? And keep in mind, a state is organization, operational, it's infrastructure. I'm talking about a well-operating state. Signifies you can feed yourself. Y'all working with each other. Y'all got schools, hospitals, self-sustaining. You got the right to protect that establishment. That's when it's proper. What are some of the other things that I wanted to highlight? I'll read this whole document. I'm just highlighting things that I feel, especially the new people, should know. Oh, the Fourth Amendment. That's pretty key too. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects. against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation. So this is in harmony with Article 6, right? Somebody needs to put their neck on the line and say, I took an oath, and particularly describe the place to be searched and persons to be seized. So we have instructions. Not only a warrant needs to be issued, but it needs to be attached to something that someone took an oath, sworn to it. So it's not just so his our peace and love, brother. I'll see you this week. Give me a call too. We can chop it up. Okay. So it's not just a warrant, it's things that go with the warrant. It's an oath attached to the warrant. It's stating the particulars thing. What area you gonna search? They can't just be freestyling. Fifth Amendment actually goes hand in hand with the fourth. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury. So we're talking about due process. There's some things that need to take place before the adjudication. Grand jury needs to indict. There needs to be an injured party, sworn affidavit saying you did something before that even happens. So that can be evaluated. Sworn affidavit saying that person injured me and my property. Then it gets to this right here. Warrant attached to an oath. So any of these things are missing, that's a violation of due process.
Doesn't the warrant need to be approved by the grand jury as well?
Right. If a warrant has been issued, that means it should have been a grand jury indicted. It must have been an indictment that took place if a warrant was issued, right? Because that's the order.
Mm-hmm.
So if any of those things are missing, that's a violation of your due process. Okay. Any statements? Did you want to, brother Benjamin Bay? I got the where you left off queued up from last Sunday.
Yeah, I finished it off.
I believe it was I see the sun and moon as mother and father, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Let's get it. I see the sun and moon as mother and father. The sun, father, sparking life, and the moon, mother, giving birth perpetually. Perpetually. I see the planets as their children, dancing and playing, going to and fro on a course that becomes their very own playground. The signs are the stellar lights that shine upon the planets, arrive as they both, planets and suns, travel in an approved course set by their parents, in and out of many mansions in the sky. The entire collective body of entities in the cosmos are intertwined and repetitiously demonstrate the laws of nature, rigidly planted in divine natural law and order. And so we are to an act of nature and are definitely affected by the movements of the cosmos. These movements create 131,760,000 astrological types and 131,400,000 varieties of personality of the year. Which one are you, and what lessons are you here to learn this time? It's a lot of people. Applying the principles of the laws of nature, womb of your mind, develop in the cycle of a year. If we are a product of nature, then we must start applying the principles of nature to our lives. Our life is a succession of growth and expansion. Nothing stands still. The experience of our life all unfolds just as it does in nature. We enter into a realm of discovery as a result of planting of seeds. We watch them grow, prune them, reap the rewards, uproot the weeds. If they not, will choke the root and stifle development. Then we begin the process again, planting new seeds. All these phases are carefully manifested in a time frame of 3 degrees, 6 and 9 and 12. But you must stick with the ideas which are rooted in your thought, and you must stay focused on your plan. This is a blueprint of events, whether it is in 3 seconds, minutes, days, weeks, months, or years, etc. They all represent degrees of movement. At the beginning of the year, in the spring, plant your seeds. Spring forth that which is inside of you, the new ideas and plans. Plant them firmly by simply thinking them out. The thought is the root. You can write them down and read them to yourself as necessary. By the time summer comes, these ideas will show some manifestation. They must all ideas take flight. All thought has weight, and here where they will begin to play themselves out. They will begin to show their foliage. By fall, you will see what needs to be altered, pruned. This is the 180-degree reflection 6 months later of your ideas. That which opposing will be exposed. Access your plan. Get rid of anything that is not working. This is the season of death and regeneration. That which needs to be eliminated or adjusted, fine-tuned, or disciplined, which take place here. By the time winter comes, you will have reaped all there is have to be reaped from your ideas, your crop. Things will be dormant, yet your ideas will show their usefulness and ability to maintain during these dormant months. You'll be left with the seedlings still in place, and they will show their expansion to you by winter's end. That which is sustainable will be fertilized in the winter and will return with the springing forth of all life ideas which have been planted in the womb of your mind. The cycle begins. The cycle begins again. The plant bears its fruit. You will have the space and fertility to seed again and expand on the fruits of your mind. All things begin with the seed, the thought. Think well. By applying the principles of nature to our lives, we begin to take control and responsibility of our lives. We claim all things that manifest in our lives. We blame no one other than ourselves for the lack of our own gardening techniques. Be careful what you say. It is the thought that has weight. Take up space and will play itself out. And think not that if you think it but not speak it, that it does not exist, because it does. This is the order. First you think it, then you speak it, the word. Then the deed is done. When you write it, you have sealed it with a spelling. The seals of Solomon, the sealed souls of man, and it is surely done with precision. The power is in your thought, is in your mind. The power is manifested in the word. The power is sealed in a physical sense with the pen. Mind is over matter. Your mind is your haven or heaven. You make your own heaven and or slash hell right here on earth or wherever you may be being. The power is in the energies of the all, the ebb and flow in the nature of energy, the negative and receiving ebb of taking in, harnessing of, and the positive flow of action or putting forth of. The methods are the manner in which you utilize the powerful energy. 1, initiating into something new. 2, immersing in it. 3, flexing the energy in a different direction. The laws of nature is the God of being in harmony with the energies that exist all around you, that will continue to exist in spite of you. Make your life useful and productive, lest you will be pruned, uprooted, and disposed of. Your mental faculties will be shut down. If you don't use it, you lose it, as they say. Yeah.
As you were reading this, my mind went back to, the divine warning,
Oh yeah.
because what we're doing is getting in harmony with nature. What we're doing, and not only that, even when you break it down, it's all about manifestation. That's what it appears being in harmony with life is too. Is you're constantly thinking
Yeah.
ways to make your situation better and then making it happen. So everything starts as a thought. Then that's why it's beautiful we have think tanks like this too, where we put our thoughts out and then we write it down. So now, for one, we don't forget it, and we more have a percentage to achieve. You know, and I think that's what it's about, man.
Say the mind over matter part reminded me of the serving carnal customs, because matter is flesh, and mind. So it's like Prophet brought us the light or the knowledge so we can, get out of matter or, carnal customs and use our higher self or the mind of our forefathers. So that reminded me of that too. So,
And the principles of the womb, like the concept of that,
yeah,
because your thoughts, you have a thought. That's the seed, right?
Yeah.
But what's the process from the seed to the manifestation? Where it's something you can touch now. Because you can't really touch your thoughts, but you turn your thoughts into something that you can touch.
It's like the mind in astrology correlates with the moon, and the moon like grows, and that correlates with the womb. So the womb grows as the moon grows. You know what I mean? It's as the thought grows. Well, like I said, like a seed. A small thought. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, or a small worry gets bigger and bigger and bigger, or happiness, or wherever it may be. But it all expands as the moon does, or the womb. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
yeah, man.
It's like when y'all was saying that and talking about that, it kind of like, like you're talking about bringing the thoughts into reality and stuff. It almost like it made me think of like downloading. You know what I mean? Like when we put our focus to something and we taking the time and the energy and we bringing it to life. It's almost like, it made me think of like downloading it. And, sometimes in life we start it and then we might pause it or come back and, have to re-download or something. But I just want to just throw that in there. It just made me think of that when y'all was talking about that on that subject.
so
Wow. Anybody else have any thoughts?
it's like carbon alternated. Talk about downloads. They like download a new like stack inside your back of your head. It's kind of like the Matrix, but it reminded me of that. It's called carbon alternated. Yeah, alternated carbon. It was with the Moore from that played the Fly. It was either Fly on Avengers. So it's a good read. It's a good show about download the consciousness basically through like this like stack of discs that they put like where your tip of your spine at the back of your head right here.
What'd you say the name of that movie was?
Alternated Carbon. It's a Netflix show.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's got the brother in it, right? I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to finish. I'm gonna check it out.
Mm-hmm. So I have a book up here. Amazing Palmistry Secrets. And I just want to put up the table of contents and see what y'all thoughts is on this as you scan through the table of contents.
Like some massage therapist stuff.
The girdle of Venus. Like when you think of collectively, when you think of everything, like what I'm saying, the long fingers, 4 elements, fire hands, earth hands.
I,
Headline,
I
It's
think
reading palms.
reading poem, right?
uh everything is looking like standing out to me, looking kind of like what the first part said, like combination. So it's looking like a combination and an understanding of, the unseen and the physical, spiritual and physical,
Mm,
you know.
okay, okay. Brother Rocky, you got something?
No, I was just gonna say, it's kind of like along the lines of like astrology, where it kind of shows like, you I guess what destiny or fate has in your potential, but obviously we got free will, we got choice,
Mm,
and we can either actualize that potential or not. But it's like, it kind of shows us like what's in our what's in our DNA, and it expresses itself kind of through our hands.
but we also got look practical headline. We're talking about the headlines too now. Worry lines in general. The girdle of Venus,
Hmm.
physical
Right.
heart line, mental heart line, right?
I was feeling like the get back in tune with nature thing though.
Mm. Oh, the other one, the other slide. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, like when what the brother was reading, what I got from it was like we are so busy and so consumed with what's in front of our eyes. Cause like, what I'm saying, this is a spiritual war, what I'm saying? And everything that exists in the earth exists in the you. What I'm saying? The elements in the earth are inside your body as well. So that's what hit me the most. It's like get back, get grounded. You know what I'm saying? Put your feet in the soil and get grounded, and more meditation and more listening and more learning. Instead of being out here, you know what I'm saying? Because the heathen got things all in front of us, man, from shopping to this, to that, to the third, to distract us from the divine truth. You know what I'm saying? There's always something going on, parties or whatever the case may be that may distract you from grounding yourself with nature. And just like the piece was saying, that heaven and hell is in your mind. You can have heaven on earth and you can have hell on earth. But if you're not a grounded person with your natural self and who you're supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? It can go either way for you. That's what I got from it.
Yeah, that's good, man. Excellent comprehension in my book.
No doubt.
The girdle of Venus. That stood out for me on this table of contents. You see Venus behind me, so like what's this got to do with fingers and worry lines and stuff like that? So I wanted to read oh look, we're not done either. There's more. We got Jupiter finger, Saturn finger, the Apollo finger, dealing with sections of the thumb. Mount of Jupiter, Mount of Venus. Where's this book going? You feel me? Like money, inherited money, hand shapes, romance, children, degrees of the palm. So I'm gonna go into just reading a little bit of chapter one. Anybody have any thoughts?
Shit, that look interesting right there.
Real interested in that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I figured we read a little segment every week of this book. It was another book we read like a while ago called Astro Diagnosis. And it's like how to medically cure somebody based on their astrological chemistry, because now you're gonna know their tendencies and why they do certain things, and you can help them purge. So I would imagine this book is in the same vein. I'm debating if I want to read this introduction. I think I'm gonna get straight into the chapter. Okay. Hand and finger combinations. Before reading the palm, look at the fingers to see if they're short or long. This isn't always easy to gauge when you're just beginning, but a little practice will enable you to access or assess the finger length at a glance. The fingers are considered long if they can fold back and touch a spot at least 7/8 of the way along the palm. Unfortunately, there are exceptions, as some people have extremely flexible hands while others are very stiff. Also, someone with an extremely oblong palm may have long fingers that only reach halfway down the palm, as the palm itself is very long. With experience, you'll be able to look at someone's palm and instantly know if the fingers are long or short. The problem comes when you're first learning and find a hand with fingers that seem to be neither long or short. Fortunately, we can cover that situation well. Long fingers. If the fingers are long, the person pays attention to detail, and you can say, you enjoy complex work, you're patient, and enjoy all the fitty bits. You like the details and things. Your work must be very consuming and gratifying. If it's too simple, you lose interest very quickly. Characteristics of the long fingers. Short fingers. Someone with short fingers is almost the opposite. They'll be more interested in the broad strokes rather than the details and won't have much patience. You could say you're always busy. Sometimes you may start something new before you finish the last task. You often have several things on the go at the same time. You tend to want everything right now, so patience is not your strong suit. Your impulsiveness has gotten you into trouble in the past. In some ways, you are a jack of all trades. Medium length fingers. Naturally, someone with fingers that are neither long nor short will fall into the middle category. You might say at times you can be very patient. However, at other times you're inclined to jump first and think later. If something really interests you, you want to get right down to the bottom of it and work it all out. If it's only a passing interest, you're more inclined to skim over it and not learn it in much detail. We now have four possibilities to look at: square hands with short fingers, square hands with long fingers, oblong hands with short fingers, oblong hands with short fingers. This is the classification used in Chinese palmistry. It comes from Fred Gidding's monumental book, The Book of the Hand. The four types are named after the four elements of the ancients: fire, earth, air, and water. These relate very well to the descriptions of the fire, earth, air, water signs of astrology. But it does not necessarily mean that a Sagittarian, a fire sign, would have a fire hand. You'll find people with all four types of hands in every sign of the zodiac. Now I'm gonna stop right here. I just wanted to kind of just open it up so we can see where it's at, but every week I'll read a little aspect of it. Any thoughts on that? And for the new brothers that Brother Jonathan, did you have any miscellaneous questions or just in general?
No, I'm listening. I'm trying to hear about the medium hand, medium finger person.
Okay. Oh
I
yeah.
think I got long fingers.
Okay. But yeah, we're gonna dive into it once a week. And like I said, I can email you the book too if you want to skim through it. But
I'm definitely a person.
what'd you say, Benjamin?
So I'm definitely short fingers for sure.
Your fingers are the characteristics or the way your fingers look?
A little bit of both. I'm like, my fingers ain't that short, but yeah, I don't. I tend to look at the tree instead of the bushes a lot. I just like, okay, what's the gist of it? Let's roll out type deal. I'm not. I'm not figure it out along the way type person. For sure. That's funny.
And I'm that impulsive person that sometimes jump before I think things through. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was looking at my hands when you was reading that. And okay, I get it. That's different, yo. Can you email me that joint too?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you, man. Yeah, I got you. Oh, did you get the email from last week? Did you?
Yes, sir, big homie. I got it.
Okay. I'm making sure because sometimes my computer be having glitches. Um, okay, so let me. Oh, any other thoughts on this book? Before I transition to the Quran and close out for today. This is chapter 35, Circle 7, Quran, divinely prepared by Noble Jew Ali. Holy instructions from the Prophet dealing with religion. There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, incomprehensible. The Son is not Allah, though his noblest image. He enlightened the world with his brightness. His warmth giveth life to the products of the earth. Admire him as the creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. To the one who is supreme, most wise, and beneficent, and to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanks, giving, and praise, who hath stretched forth the heavens with his hands, who hath described with his fingers the course of the stars, who setteth bounds to the ocean, that it cannot pass, and saith unto the stormy winds, Be still, who shaketh the earth, and the nations tremble, who dareth his lightnings, and the wicked are dismayed, who calleth forth worlds by the words of his mouth, who smiteth with his arm, and they sink into nothing. O reverence the majesty of the omnipotent, and tempt not his anger, lest thou be destroyed. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. His ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. So we're talking about in harmony with nature and the holy books. Allah, the architect of the heavens and the universe, Mother Zodiacus, the creators of the heavens and the earth, laid down things that can be measured to know if you're in harmony with nature or not. Once again, he hath instituted laws of the government of the world. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings. So all beings have the capacity to govern yourself and link up with other people and establish government in harmony with the laws of nature. And each by his nature come forth to his will. Sovereignty through nationality, through citizenship, through government structure. In the depth of his mind, he revolveth all knowledge. The secrets of futurity lie upon before him. The thoughts of thy heart are naked to his view. He knoweth thy determination before they are made. With respect to his presence, there is nothing contingent. With respect to his providence, there is nothing accidental, right? Law of correspondence, like the brother Jonathan. There's nothing accidental about this divine interaction. That's the law of correspondence. 7 hermetic principles. That's according to the law. It's divine. Nature. Wonderful is he in all his ways. His counsels are inscrutable. The manner of his knowledge transcendeth thy conception. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submissive obedience to his supreme discretion. The Father is gracious and beneficent. He hath created the world in mercy and love. His creatures of his hand declare his goodness, and their enjoyments speak of his praise. He clothed them with beauty. He supporteth them with food. He preserveth them with pleasure from generation to generation. If we lift up our eyes to the heavens, his glory shineth forth. If we cast them down to the earth, it is full of his goodness. The hills and the valleys rejoice and sing. Fields, rivers, and woods resound his praise. But thee he hath distinguished with particular favor, and exalted thy station above all creatures. Talking about the human. We have a exalted station. We're distinguished from the animals. We have an exalted station compared to the animals, the creatures. But thee he hath imbued thee with reason to maintain thy dominion. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society, and exalted thy mind with the powers of meditation to contemplate and adore his inimitable perfections. Inimitable perfections. And in the laws he hath ordained as the rule of life, so kindly hath he united thy duty to thy nature, that obedience to his precepts is happiness to thyself. When you in tune with nature, you're going to have peace. Bring happiness to yourself. Oh, praise his goodness with songs of thanksgiving, and meditate in silence on the wonders of his love. Let thy heart overflow with gratitude and acknowledgement. Let the language of thy lips speak praise and adoration. Let the actions of thy life show thy love to his law. Allah is just and righteous, and will judge the earth with equity or fairness and truth. Hath he established his laws in goodness and mercy, and shall he not punish the transgressors thereof? Oh, think not, bold men, because thy punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither flatter thyself with the hopes that he winketh at thy doings. So don't do wrong and think because nothing happened today that it won't come back on you. And don't think that you did something cute. Like Allah's winking at you, like, oh yeah, you got away with that. Don't think that's going on. His eye pierceth the secrets of every heart, and he remembereth them forever. He respecteth not the persons or the stations of men. So titles don't matter. That's not what matters. The high and the low, the rich and the poor, the wise and the ignorant, when the soul hath shaken off the humorous shackles of the mortal life, shall equality receive from the sentence of just and everlasting retribution, according to the works. So all about the works. When you transition from this plane, what type of legacy? What type of, because we know we got some great people. Noble Jew Ali. We got Mansa Musa. We got a lot of great people, General Tariq. There's a lot of people that we can name that are known for doing great work. Muhammad II, Yahshua ben Yosef. The list goes on. What legacy are you trying to live? How are you trying to be remembered? You know, what are you leaving to your future heirs so that life can be easier? What are you doing for humanity as a whole? Then shall the wicked tremble and be afraid, but the heart of the righteous shall rejoice in his judgment. O fear Allah, therefore, all the days of thy life, and walk in the paths which he have opened before thee. Let prudence admonish thee. Let temperance restrain. Let justice guide thy hand. Benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. These shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. This is the true economy of human life. I want to open the floor for thoughts. Thoughts on this chapter.
I'm gonna say that I liked how, it basically went over the respect that we need to have for the Most High. And you can break it down very simple as, us being in someone's house. You have to have a certain respect to their rules in their house. So spiritually, like when it talked about, departing from the body and fair judgment, whether you are rich or poor, we are all in a vessel that was given to us from our creator, passed down to us. So for the life that we have, there should be a level of respect in the individual of trying to be pleasing to our creator. And so that's what I read. I seen that in verse, I think 12, 24, and a couple other places. So I would say that's a very powerful message in that chapter. And that's basically how we get on the right track for humanity, is, looking at life that way. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Any other thoughts on that chapter? Nobody has any other thoughts? I'm going to go ahead and close out with the prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. So peace and love to everybody. And go ahead and text me, brother Shalom, or just, hit me so we can dialogue as far as with your conveyance and what options you want to do. And brother Jonathan Brown, I'll see you back. But since you, since you've been, we pretty much essentially about to close out. But since you came back, I wanted to know if you had any, questions, or where you at in your journey in the Moorish paradigm.
Yeah, I heard. I'm just trying to get like my nationality card and just start. I got to get my foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get the documentation, any type of paperwork, just to learn. so that I can actually become more.
Okay, excellent. So we'll be in communication throughout the week, and I'll make sure you take the proper steps. And that's beautiful, man. Did you read the whole book, or did you just literally get the book?
I didn't read the like the laws and stuff. I read like some of the law, but I read most of the stuff that like you had wrote and stuff. But it's just some of the laws like I'm still trying to understand how that worked. You know, like the language behind.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, just read the book in its entirety, and then just let me know your thoughts.
Okay.
Well, we can just dialogue. Uh, Brother Rocky, how you doing over there, man?